Well, as we go through it, you can just see if you want to increase or
Yeah,
decrease the volume. My voice is usually a little more louder. Americans,
yeah, obnoxious.
of course,
Yep.
it's ugly too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, you guys do.
Should go to Europe. We stole all the good genes.
So, Tim, welcome
Aaron,
to the podcast.
thanks, brother. Happy to be here.
Yeah, that's what you said last time.
Yeah,
You're not
always happy to
you're
be
not
here.
very unique.
Huh? No, very definitely not. I am a carbon copy of other people around me.
All right. Let's start out with the quote that you have here. Stop waiting for someone to come and save you. If you fail, it's okay. Keep trying until you succeed. Be your own hero.
Yeah, that's one of my wallpapers on my phone at the moment. I have a bunch of quotes that I found just kind of inspirational to me, I guess. And I just decided to put them on my phone to read every day, basically. And I think a lot of people fall victim to, especially myself. A lot of time looking for other people to help you out, looking to other people for answers to questions and for guidance, for help, or to be led. And that just kind of reminds me to be my own hero, make my own decisions, be my own person. And you can always, look towards mentors or friends for guidance or help. But at the end of the day, it's your world. You got to be the kingdom of it. You got to be the king of your own kingdom.
Is that the kind of mindset that you had when you first started out in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what drew me towards jiu-jitsu and martial arts in general. I'd been playing team sports my entire life and was always, doing the most for the team. I was always very much a team player. And I felt like that was very rarely reciprocated. And I don't know, I think we were also just able to hide in other people's shadow or in the shadows of the game that play out naturally in team sports. I think it was very intriguing for me to find martial arts, a one-on-one sport, jiu-jitsu, one-on-one sport where it's all up to me. The outcome is completely up to my preparation and my ability to execute what I have prepared, when the opportunity comes.
When did you first start jiu-jitsu?
I first started jiu-jitsu in the summer of 2022, so 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, while I was still playing hockey. So that previous season, I was living in New Hampshire in a dorm playing U18 hockey up there. And my roommate was a friend from the Ashburn area. We had been teammates for a long time previously when we were kids. We were really close already. And so we had an awesome year living together in that dorm, but we were both very interested in the UFC and martial arts in general, thought it was really cool, into Joe Rogan, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of both led to us starting to talk about jiu-jitsu a lot. And we decided that when we got back from the season, when we got back to Virginia, we were going to start training jiu-jitsu together. And we did. We found a gym. His dad had an old work friend or something that owned a gym in Ashburn called Sparks MMA, and we went there and trained that whole summer. That was like 3 months. I got, one stripe on my white belt the day actually that I was leaving to go back to New England for the next hockey season. But I couldn't stop thinking about jiu-jitsu the whole hockey season. I even sought out a gym up in the New Hampshire area and went and trained there a couple of times. Went and did some boxing a few times too. So really like a year and a half that I've been training consistently.
What keeps you going back to jiu-jitsu?
Man, it's hard to explain, but it's the only time where I feel completely present in the moment. Every day doing your normal stuff like school or work or in your day-to-day life, you're always, making plans for the future, thinking ahead to what you're going to do, especially at our age, being like 20 and a college student. You have to think about what you want to study, what you're going to do for work when you're older. You're always making plans for the future, and you're trying not to dwell too much maybe on your past. When I'm in a roll, in a grapple, or in Muay Thai when I'm sparring someone, or even just learning the technique, when I'm in that mat room, I am completely present in the moment and whatever we are learning. And it's very liberating. It's a liberating feeling to just not have a worry in the world. You're just thinking about what's right in front of you. And it's a cool thing to work that and then to, see it pay off in competition too.
What's the greatest lesson you learned in jiu-jitsu? Or one of the best lessons you learned?
Ooh. I don't know. That's a good question. It could be
It's something that you could apply off the mat.
something I can apply off the mat. I guess it's just patience, really deliberately and continuously progressing while expecting really nothing in return and being okay with that. You know that you're going to put hours and hours of time on those mats, learning, sweating, getting hurt. And it's going to take a really long time, no matter how hard you try, no matter how many hours a week you spend on the mats in classes and rolling. It's going to take a long time until you start to see the success that you think you can have. And it's being okay with that, being okay with the journey. And I guess just living your day-to-day life. You see what I'm saying? The way you live, the way you want to live your life in the future, you have to live that way now and be okay with the fact that you are not where you want to be, but you are living as if you are.
You want to be the person that you want to be in 10 years from now.
Yeah, it's like that Matthew McConaughey quote where he's like, my biggest idol or whatever, my biggest competition is me in 10 years. I'm always chasing me in 10 years, and it's always keeping me with somebody to chase because I'm never going to be that person.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that every day you get closer to that 10 years is just another day that's extended 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like today's 10 years from now, tomorrow's 10 years plus one more day.
Yeah, I can say I'm absolutely much better grappler, martial artist, and I would say even say person, much better than I was a year ago, but it's still not even close to who I want to be in 10 years. Because, last year it was what it would be 9 years. So it just keeps on going. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
I find that person 10 years from now just, while it's not, I know that I'm not at that level, it's always nice to know that that person is there. That, oh yeah, that's where I want to be. I can do this, this, and this today, and then I can do this, this, and this tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then I can keep pushing and pushing, and eventually I'll get to that person, and I'll be very happy with where I am because I know that I'll just be doing another 10 more years. Yeah. And it's just like
exactly perpetual. I got to where I wanted to go, but where I want to go has changed during that time as well. Because it always keeps on changing. Everything changes all the time. That's the thing. It's very hard to deal with change. And I think this is a time in our lives where everything is changing a lot.
And the flow of information is incredible.
Absolutely. I'm even just saying, like, in my personal life, like, and just being the age we're at, just kind of getting into adulthood and being in college, friends are moving away. People are getting jobs. I have some older friends. They're getting married. People are starting to have
someone
kids.
who's younger than me who's already pregnant.
Yeah. See, things change, right? So trying to hold on to what has been and what was is just very silly, even though it's what you want, really, because you miss the good old days, like when you were just a little kid. And
yeah, but you also remember that you cherish those memories because you'll know you'll be making the same memories today. Yeah. And you'll be looking 10 years from now and looking back and saying, you know what, I was actually really happy during that time. Mm-hmm. Even though I was struggling and even though everything was so chaotic, I found times to have some peace and quiet.
And it's easy to forget too. When you were younger, when you were a kid, you were always like longing for those days. When you were older, you were like, I can't wait to be an adult, or like, I can't wait to be older and have more freedom or live on my own or whatever. And now you're just like, man, I just want everything to slow down. I feel like I don't have enough hours in the day. Moving here from Sweden, most of my memories, like I have very good relationships still in Sweden outside of my family, like just friends and stuff that I grew up with and I still keep in touch with. But most of my memories are pretty fond because I was like 11. I was 11 years old when we moved to the US. And so that was kind of like a blur because, you're young. And when I moved here, I stepped right into 6th grade, middle school. 3 longest years of my life, probably. I remember like just being in middle school and being like, it's never going to end. This every day was, I wouldn't say dreadful. Everything just felt like it took so long. And then I got into high school, and that feels like it was a year ago. And, it's been 6. Like it just, everything from that point on has just gone by so fast. And you talk to other people that are older than you too, and they're like, it's only going to go faster. So that's what kind of a motivational thing for me, I guess, to make the most out of every single day. And I think about that all the time, actually, especially with jiu-jitsu. It's like, this time is going to pass regardless. This time is going to pass so quickly that if I'm not making sure I'm in there consistently, I'm just kind of going to be stuck in the same place. But if I dedicate myself to something like jiu-jitsu or martial arts, I don't know, 5-10 years is still going to go by like that. And I'm just going to be light years ahead of everyone else.
Yeah. I always find that it's like the perception of time. There's times when 10 minutes seems like 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And then other times when 4 hours will go by and be like, that didn't feel like it.
Yeah. That's jiu-jitsu for me. That's evenings at XCal for me. We do more fundamentals from 5 to 6, advanced class from 6 to 7:45, and Muay Thai from 7:45 to 8:45. And sometimes they even help teach the kids at 4 p.m. before that. And that's, that's 4 hours of training. And it just does not feel like it. And I think that's like an addictive feeling, That's like what you say, time flies when you're having a good time.
Yeah. It's also fun when you can merge that time with something educational. Like you do jiu-jitsu, you train, your body gets in shape, your mind gets in shape, and you just have this like little symbiotic relationship between your mind and your body, because your mind says one thing, your body executes it. And then your body tells you that you can't do something, and your mind readjusts and thinks of a new way of doing a move or doing a movement and getting out of a certain position. Mm-hmm. Same thing goes with the podcast. Every time I go into it, and every time I go, it's like a fractal. Every time I go into a little space, it starts replicating and starts becoming more detailed and more detailed. And then I have to realize I have to back up, because if I go too much into one little area, I won't be able to get the other stuff done. Mm-hmm. And it's just this ongoing process of just learning, but it's addictive, because your mind grows, your perception grows, and perspective grows.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's really cool because you see yourself making that progress. Like you'll be one moment thinking like, oh, it's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm just kind of on a plateau. And then all of a sudden you'll, hear, I don't know what the comparable would be to a podcast, but in jiu-jitsu, you hit a move or that you're like, oh, I didn't know how to do this a few weeks ago. And we're learning new moves all the time. So then just the progression of being there every day, seeing the whole curriculum and over again. And, a couple of months go by and you're like, oh my God, this movement that was completely foreign to me a month or two ago is now something that feels completely natural. And I think that's a really cool feeling too.
Yeah. And I find that whenever I have an idea or I start getting into something, the best time that I start learning and be creative is by myself. When it's like in the comfort of my home, or if I'm in like an office space or something, and just by myself, no distractions or minimal distractions, and just work. Just think about what I'm doing and keep focusing. And then I'll realize that there's times when my brain's going in a circle. It just keeps going around the same little thing, and I don't know what to do, or I don't really understand it. So I usually go to someone that I trust, ask them for an advice, either directly on what I'm working on, or like a general advice. And they'll have an idea, have a different way of looking at it, and it'll spark something in my brain, and I know exactly how to get it all done. And just like 10 hours of work simplified into 10 minutes talking to someone. Mm-hmm. And now everything's all done, because now I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. And that's exactly to my point of like, sometimes it is good to look to others for guidance or help with something. And it's exactly the same with jiu-jitsu. I'm be in a move that I just can't figure this out. I know I'm getting it wrong. Something's not right. You look to one of the 11 black belts that we have training there and just ask them what they think about it, any one of them. And they can just say maybe something that they say to everyone that asks them a question about that move, but it can just be one little thing about what they're saying that just makes it click in my head. Yeah.
It's also funny, all the different personalities in jiu-jitsu. When we were rolling yesterday, 2 of the black belts, one was 3 stripes,
Yeah, Bob's a third degree
Yeah,
white
Bob's
belt.
third degree, and then Parker's his first degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing between Parker and Bob is that, and that's 9 years difference of experience, or 6 years.
6 years
6 years.
difference. Yeah, every degree on your black belt is 3 years.
Okay. When Parker was doing something on one of the lower belts, I think a blue belt, uh, Bob came over and started and told Parker how to do something, and there was this level of humility in Parker's face of, yes, I'm a black belt, but I'm still 6 years behind this black belt, and there's something I can learn from it. So he was trying to get the move and try to nail it down, and Bob was going through the movements, but there was the humility. There's also the tone of voice, because they were both black belts. Bob knows that Parker already knows all the basic stuff. He doesn't have to try to do the fundamentals. He has to just tell him, this is how you get it done, and then Parker figures it out. And it was a really nice relationship between the two. And you'll find that between like black belts and white belts. Of course, it's not as fun, because the white belt doesn't know exactly what they're doing. Like me, like I don't know. I'm a crazy monkey. I'll jump over people for no reason, and then get an armbar because I was doing something stupid. But that's one of the best things I learned about jiu-jitsu. It's the humility that no matter how much I go, how much jiu-jitsu I do, I'm always going to be a student to a black belt who's still 14 years ahead of me. Just like what we said earlier, 10 years, person 10 years ahead of me will always be 10 years ahead of me. Yeah. But it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I think that has more so to do, I think, with Parker and Bob, for that matter, and all of the black belts at XCal are still students of the game. They are experts because they wear that black belt around their waist, but they are all still students of the game, and they're always willing to learn from one another. I think that's what makes them all so good, is that they don't have a problem learning from anyone. If you even Dave, who, it's his gym, it's his academy, and it doesn't matter what belt you're wearing. Even he talks about, his purple belt girlfriend will talk about a move or just ask a question about a move, and he'll explain something, and then she'll be like, well, why do you do that? And then he's like, oh, wait, maybe I haven't thought about that. Why do we do this? Why wouldn't we do that instead? It's that level, like you said, of humility that is required, I think, in order to grow in all areas of life, not just jiu-jitsu. I think that's what a lot of people get to the top of whatever game they're in, whether it's business, whether it's sports, whatever it is, and they forget to be a student. And that's when you die. I mean, that's when you start to fail, is when you forget to be a student, because the game is ever changing. The world is ever changing.
The best people I know are always students.
Yeah, they're always learning.
They'll be 70, 80, 90 years old, and you'll see in their eyes they still have that humility, because they know that's
a spark in their eye, because they're excited to learn something that they don't know. And I think that's what makes it even cooler with black belts. They get excited, at least the black belts that we spend our time with, they get excited when they hear or see something that they don't know, that they're not great at. They're like, ooh, this is something new. Because as you get better and better, as you spend more time in it, you're going to see less and less new things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's cognitive brain function.
You need a brain in order to get that done.
That is very true.
Of course, I don't know what that would be, so I guess we can start with hockey. I don't know too much about hockey, so I don't know how useful it'll be.
That's okay. We don't have to talk about it. It was more about, it was more about the story of just kind of things that motivate me when I was younger. I kind of just were born into it. Not that I was ever pushed into playing hockey. I think I even started later than I would have if I was pushed, just because my dad always thought it needed to come from within, the will to play, the will to want to get up every day and practice the same skill over and over again. And there was no point unless it came from within. And that's a very important lesson, I think, just been instilled in me from day one because of that. And I was always a little bit upset with it when I was younger, because I was like, Daddy, I was always like, you should coach our team and you should, help me with stuff. And he would just always tell me that, it has to come from within. You have to want to get out there and do it. You can't rely on me to tell you to go practice or to go spend extra time at home training. You have to do that yourself. He will gladly show me how to if I ask, and I did, and he did show me a bunch of stuff.
What gives you that internal drive today?
I think that is definitely something that was instilled in me.
I mean, like, why not just doom scroll on social media and just slack off?
Oh, because I'm so scared of wasting time. I mean, I still do waste time, as we all do. We all waste time. But I find myself thinking that, my whole life growing up playing hockey, I always thought I had so much time. But it's just not even just playing hockey, but growing up, you're just always like, everything is so far away. I'm so young. I have so much time. And now as I'm even just 20 years old, I'm like, I have no time. I'm 20 years old. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't really know I don't have much to show for what I did spend my whole life doing, other than experiences and perspective, and friendships, which are usually all very great things to show for the time that I spent doing it. But it wasn't what I had imagined. It made a shift in my head, like, wow, if I'm going to be great at something, it has to be every day. And if I'm going to be able to do it every day, I have to be absolutely in love with it. I'm not somebody that you can do things that you don't want to do, like school, things like that. I absolutely can do that. It's just what I want to dedicate my life to is something that needs to be, for me, it just needs to be something that I can wake up every day and just be happy about. No matter how early it is, I can just be happy about what it is I'm about to go do, no matter how little sleep I got or how tired I am or how hurt I am. It's like that saying, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I like to tweak that a little bit in my head. I think if you do what you love, you will gladly work every single day of your life, is how I like to look at it. You won't dread it, which is what most people do in this world. They'll just take whatever, go to do their education, get whatever job they need, to make ends meet or whatever, and they'll spend their whole life kind of miserable with what they're doing because they just did what they were supposed to. And that's very hard to not just do what you're supposed to, but do what you really absolutely want to and love to do.
I always find the best way for me to learn is to realize that learning and having that little drive in whatever project it is, if it's jiu-jitsu, a podcast or something, is just to seek out those little connections, the little things that really, I think, if I remember correctly, dopamine is released every time you make a little connection. It doesn't matter like if it's a tiny connection or a big connection. There's just this little spurt of dopamine that keeps you going. It's what social media platforms use to keep people enticed. You give that little spurt of dopamine every time you see something, either like a cringy thing or something that's like addictive or something that's like
Makes you laugh.
A cute puppy or someone getting hit by a train.
God, I love puppies on my reels. They're all over my reels.
Yeah. And you just have the little spurt of dopamine, and then you swipe up to the next one, you get another little spurt, and then you'll get a couple of videos that aren't that good, and you start craving that little dopamine until another one comes up, and then you get that little squirt, and it gets to the point where you just start frying your brain with all this little dopamine stuff.
Well, it's instant gratification. That's what it is. That's what keeps you on there. It's like you find what you're looking for, like sugar. It's like you find what you're looking for immediately. That's what they developed the algorithm, so they know what you're looking for. And you keep finding it every time you scroll, wanting to go through the process of getting that gratification or wanting to go through a longer process of anything of the sort, like watching a whole movie or reading a book or doing things that take a long time, like studying jiu-jitsu or studying anything really. It's hard and it takes a long time and it takes actually doing work for it. And I think...
But in the end, you become a better person.
Yeah, and you learn from it, you grow from it, helping me strive towards doing things that take longer, doing work for the gratification, or letting the work itself be the gratification you need, and finding happiness through the journey as opposed to just taking what's right in front of you.
It's also humans and most things in general choose the path of least resistance, whatever requires the least amount of energy to get through. Like a river that's like kind of that's going straight and then it curls a little bit, eventually that river is going to go straight. It's going to break through all that dirt and go into a straight line because that's the path of least resistance. And I find that the best way to have that path of least resistance is to find something that you enjoy doing, something that gives you that drive every day. And
Okay, so to your point about the path of least resistance, when something becomes hard, something else becomes easy.
something becomes hard.
Yeah, something becomes hard. Something definitely doesn't become easy. But aside from that, you rascal, when something becomes hard, something else becomes easy is something that as Jiu-Jitsu has definitely taught me. It's like choosing the path of least resistance, to your point. So like if I'm in side control, really trying to get an Americano or something, I'm really trying to attack a limb, I'm trying to get a submission, and they're defending it, sometimes that makes it really easy to step in the mount and get better position, get more dominant. And that applies, I think, to life in general. When you're really trying hard to get something, to perform a task or to reach a goal or something, and you're focusing all of your energy and attention into one thing and it's just not working, to realize that, when one door closes, another door opens. It's good to choose the path of least resistance. But I think the issue for a lot of people today is always choosing the path of least resistance instead of like making the easy decisions instead of the right ones. So I was watching Harry Potter 4 earlier today, as one does on a Tuesday. And it was towards the end of the movie. Dumbledore's telling Harry that everything is going to change, and soon we will all have to make the choice between what is right and what is easy. And that's something that I think I pride myself on, is trying my best to make the hard right decisions as opposed to the easy ones. It's something that's been instilled in me from multiple mentors and my parents, I'd say too. That's something I try to live by, which is hard because, like we said, instant gratification and getting dopamine like that, like quickly, all the distractions. It's easy to make easy decisions.
And I think there's a clear distinction between something that's easy and something that's efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Being more efficient at something doesn't necessarily mean you're bad at something. It means that you're just able to do whatever you're trying to do better and takes up less of your time so you can focus on more things. A regular employee job, if you're really efficient at something, they usually give you more work to do because you're so, like, if you can do something, if you can run across a football field faster than everyone else, you're usually tasked with doing that again while everyone else is still finishing the first lap.
I like that analogy. I think another analogy could be about in sports. If you have a good coach, they will do exactly that. They will see that you can handle more than others. There's either you can handle more pressure, more responsibility, more tasks than your fellow teammates, and they will give you more to do. They will give you more responsibility, even though you're all still part of the same team. You're just wearing a number on a jersey, but maybe you do more than the rest of them. And that, yeah, absolutely does give you more responsibility, and it will fall heavier onto you when things go sideways because you are that guy that the coach or the rest of the team is looking to. And I think that is absolutely the way you should do it. And when coaching is, you can't cater your coaching style or the division of tasks and of responsibility. You can't divide it all up the same, and you can't cater it towards the lower end of the scale of players or employees that you have to choose from. You have to cater it to the top, because otherwise the people that are at the bottom, they're going to stay at the bottom. But the people that are at the top of this scale, you got to help them grow too. And they will grow because you are giving them more to do, more responsibility, and because you expect more of them. And you only do that because you know that they can handle it, or you want to see that if they can handle it.
Like if someone gives you a hard task, someone tells you to do something that's just seems like something that you don't need to do it anyway because it's going to make yourself better. It's going to grow your own ability to take in information, but also your tolerance for certain things. And it's just, you can, like, if you look at everything like a learning experience or something that you can take and you can grow from it, it becomes so much easier to do that. even though it does help them, it helps you more because you'll be able to do that better in less time next time. Rather than think about what you want to get, you choose what you want to do. And then your body responds, your mind responds. It's just keep doing the reps, and eventually you just do it instinctually.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just leads back to martial arts or combat sports, jiu-jitsu. Again, it's even though I'm going up against somebody, I'm always competing against myself, because it's just I'm always learning new things, trying to expand my game, trying to make it more detailed. And that's always a competition against myself. And like I said before, you're learning a new move all the time. It feels clunky at first. Then as time goes on, as you practice it, as you try it in a live roll, eventually it just gets to a point where that is second nature.
Actually, something happened yesterday when I was rolling with someone. He took a couple months off. He doesn't have any stripes or anything, white belt. And I've been training for 4 months now. Mm-hmm. I still know I know absolutely nothing. Like I roll with you, you throw me across the room and do flips all around.
And I feel like I know absolutely nothing.
Yeah, but the funny thing is when I was rolling with him, I could get some things that I know wouldn't work on a higher belt, but it works on someone who's not as experienced. And it just realized, on one hand, it shows that I've learned a lot more in 3 months, 4 months, but at the same time, I'm just as bad as he is compared to everyone else. And then it just becomes, I'm not comparing myself to other people. I'm comparing myself to who I was. I was bad. I'm not bad anymore. And if I can continue doing this because I love it, because it gives me something, it's something that gives me a little bit of a reason to wake up early in the morning. I'll look back 4 months from now and say, you know what? 4 months before, I wasn't that good. Now I'm better. I got this far. I might as well keep going. See what happens.
All you can do is not to compare yourself to other people. Of course, it's good to, look at what they do, what others do well that you don't do well, or what they don't do well that you do well. Things like that, absolutely important to look at. But for the sake of your own progression, it's just always where you were and where you are now.
And where you want to be.
Where you want to be. And that's something that is growing. Your instincts are growing with the skill and the knowledge that you're acquiring just through time spent doing it. Yeah, it's just about figuring the things out. And like you said, having that humility to know that it's a learning curve. It's a process.
Yeah. It's one thing that the director said or Dave, that when you're doing testing for white belt and blue belt and purple, they're testing you on the techniques and do you know how to do a move. When you're doing the purple, brown belt and black belt, you're doing more tactics. Mm-hmm. Not what moves do you know, but can you go from here to here in the least number of moves possible? So it's not a matter of can you get there, but how efficiently and how quickly can you get there. Jiu-Jitsu is just like an entire game of chess.
Yeah. But as he says all the time, there's more moves in chess than there are stars in the night sky, and there's infinitely more moves in jiu-jitsu than there is in chess. Like it's just, you're never going to have all of the jiu-jitsu. All of the jiu-jitsu is never going to be part of your arsenal. That's why it's important to expand as much as you want to expand your game in your arsenal, and then just get really good at the things that you find work for you and the things that you like to do. And yeah, try to get really good at them and use them as much as you can until you find that you need to move on.
But it doesn't matter if they're men, women, children. There's always this little drive of expectation that they have in their eyes, of the self-awareness that they can keep improving. And you can see it in almost everyone's eyes, especially the higher belts. Like they know something, but they can teach other people, but they also have a long way to go.
Uh-huh. We all have a long way to go. If you're in this for life, if you've decided that you're in this game for life, you've already decided that you're never going to get to the end goal. There is no end goal, because it is kind of like,
we're all just atoms.
We're all just atoms. No, it is kind of like that you're never going to beat yourself in 10 years, because you're never going to find the end of it, because there is no end to it.
What's the one person you want to be in 10 years from now?
Say that again?
What kind of person do you want to be 10 years from now?
What kind of person?
Or who do you look to when you're thinking about that person?
Like as a role model? Or do you mean another person, or just
your personality? or who you want to be in 10 years and how you look up to that person or your
10 years,
future.
I want to be, and I want to be much more resilient. That's what I'm looking for every single day is resiliency and patience and stay true to who I am as a person. I know that in general, I'm a very kind person and I think a lot about others and trying to do a lot for others. And I absolutely want to stay true to who I am in that sense. But I also, what I really want is to be able to differentiate when I need to, do things for others or help others and when I need to do what's best for myself. And I think that's something that I'm learning a lot about right now is trying to do what's right for me and not what other people think I should do. So just following that, and I think I'll just but I'll define myself exactly how I should be. And that it'll be good.
It's like you're a little sculptor. You have a block of marble and you're just carving out all the different parts to make up you.
Yeah, I have a tattoo of exactly that. I have a tattoo on my torso that is a sculpture. It's called Self-Made Man, and it's the idea. It's a man literally sculpting himself out of marble. It's the idea that you are both the sculptor and the marble. You're always. We start out as these blocks, and we're just slowly chipping away at ourselves to define what it is that we are. And that's what I look to do every single day.
Trying to think of one last thing to talk about because you have to leave in a couple minutes.
You don't need to feel like you have to rush.
Something. So I think we've basically covered everything that would be needed.
I would say it's a time between integrity over popularity and ownership over blame, which I think both kind of can mean the same thing in the sense that I think if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. It's kind of that. That's kind of what came into my mind when I read those. Is that another reason why I like jiu-jitsu. It's all up to me. It's ownership. It's honestly teaching me more so how to take ownership of my own actions in the rest of my life, as opposed to pointing my finger at others, and blaming other people for mistakes or for things not going so well. No matter where you are in life, you are where you're supposed to be. You are where you deserve to be. No matter if you think you deserve a promotion or better grades or better results in competition, whatever it may be, you have earned yourself the spot that you are in. Whether you'd like to think so or not, whether you like to think that you're being snubbed or that you deserve better, you have only put the work in and only have so much intention to get you where you are right now. And I think that's something that's very profound in my mind, that I need to make sure that if I know where I want to go, but I know I haven't earned being there yet. So I am where I'm supposed to be, and the work that I do every single day will lead me to where I want to be. And when I'm there, I will, wherever I am at in 10 years, I know that is where I am supposed to be.
All right. That's all I got.
Cool. Can we jam out to another song before I go?
Sure.
Because I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.